Hey there, everybody. So, I guess I gotta talk about my feelings again regarding You Know Who. This point, I think something really needs to be said and had a foot put down because this is actually ridiculous, the kind of behavior that I'm tolerating. So, to provide a little bit of context for those who are unfamiliar, I run a YouTube channel talking about a little guy named Félix-Guattari, and he helped write a book called Anti-Oedipus with a guy named Gilles Deleuze, and they wrote a couple other books together. And there's another channel called Deleuze-Guattari Quarantine Collective, run by a guy named Brooks Brown, who collaborates with a character named President Sunday, who the latter just demonstrates no real understanding of the theory that he's talking about, and he's really a pathetic moron. Brooks is a lot more forgivable. I think Brooks has the potential to really kind of reorient his channel in a better direction, and notably he's not involving himself in this, so I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But basically, I have had serious issues with these two, with how they treat other creators in our space, and, what kind of activities they get up to. They have a Discord server that is notoriously toxic, and, they also have, they're also a source of spreading a lot of misinformation about Deleuze and Guattari. I mean, I'm sure there's good stuff that comes out of it. When people say, oh yeah, there's something that really inspired me, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm not judging you for that. But what I am judging is the medium that is being produced. If you care about, Guattari or Deleuze and Guattari, you care about the machine that is producing these things. And the machine that these guys are relying on is the social media machine of the drama engine that you see online, just kind of interacting with other YouTubers in a dishonest and pretentious way, and produce, even when they're not interacting with other YouTubers, they produce this very pretentious dialogue. For example, just regarding translations, I laugh every time their fans come up to me about my critique on the translation of Anti-Oedipus. I'm sorry, but Brooks has no evidence that he's contributed at all towards the translation literature. He's criticizing a group of people who collectively have over half a century of translation experience with the material, and just some of the things that people are saying in response just demonstrates that he at least does not know how to communicate to his audience the challenges of translation. I mean, I'm not a great French reader, but I have enough French to be able to read some of the letters by Félix-Guattari, and I can tell you right now, as somebody who has literally just entry-level French, that shit is not going to be translated perfectly into English. And considering that a lot of Anti-Oedipus is straight up pulled from the Anti-Oedipus papers, I'd be very surprised if you could realistically even prove that. But that's not even really the subject of what's going on today. Back in July, I was in a serious bind. I was living in Boston, and I couldn't find a job, and I was going to be homeless by the end of August, right? And I wasn't even asking money for a place. I was just going to accept that I was going to be homeless. But instead, I was asking for money to cover some credit card bills so that I could have the money that I was making go towards something useful as opposed to paying off this credit card bill, right? And the thing is that I still can't have a job. I'm significantly disabled, and this year I discovered how significantly disabled I am, even physically, more so than mentally. And so I put this thing up, and I received, a lot of donations from that, and that's great, But the problem is that, about a week ago, I received, or not a week ago, sorry, about yesterday, day before, I received a comment on that video I put out a week ago about, this harassment that I've been receiving from them regarding taking my meds, both from their fans and from President Sunday. I don't know if Brooks is saying it too. I don't pay attention to him. If he's saying it, that's bad, all right? But I know for sure that, Sunday has harassed me this way, their fans have harassed me this way, and it's completely inappropriate in a space dedicated to a book called fucking Anti-Oedipus, Capitalism and Schizophrenia. Seriously, read the fucking room. right? But, you know, I get this comment that is just horrific, right? Like, let's not beat around the bush. This is a horrible comment that is making fun of homeless people, right? And yes, I do try to play it off all cool and stuff, but I was genuinely upset by reading this comment, because it's not even just the fact that I possibly could have been homeless, but just the lack of sympathy that's being produced from this. So I made a post that basically said, hey, why is your fucking community mass producing this? Right? Because I look at, when I make my YouTube channel, right? Yes, part of it is just me talking about my feelings. That's kind of what the purpose of Félix-Deux is. But, like, the point of Punished Felix is to produce something in my audience, right? And I don't want to produce bullies in my audience. That's why, you know, outside of maybe, like, 1 or 2 videos, I don't really address other people, right? Unless there's a reason that I believe so. And, you know, there was one time I was actually seriously wrong, and that's fine. I take the L for that. But, you know, like, the purpose of my channel primarily is not trying to instill necessarily a relationship between me and my viewers on necessarily even being an authority. In fact, I encourage other people, instead I try to encourage people to actually read the original texts, you know, to try to give them an example to think about when they're reading an original text, or maybe even be exposed to something that they've never even thought about before, right? And I want to do it in a way that does not appeal to this sort of malice that is, like, so prevalent online, but rather one that is more based around, like, exploring genuinely new, interesting ideas regarding, and especially those that, you know, may even criticize something politically relevant in the current day, such as my critiques of AI. And I think that, you know, when you have an audience that is going around and harassing other people by saying that they're, like, making fun of them for being homeless, like, you really need to actually think about what you're doing. And, basically I made another post about it because I was pissed off at one of the replies I was getting. And Sunday really thinks it's appropriate to essentially tell me that, you know, oh, well, let me actually pull up the post. I don't want to paraphrase this. I want to actually, like, say it in the open because, you know, I don't want to be accused of paraphrasing or any sort of shit. He says, reminder that the person you are calling a bully responded to your posts harassing him by encouraging people to donate to you when you were homeless. You probably owe him for a good amount of the support you got. President Sunday, go fuck yourself. Alright? The fact that you are literally, like, you seem to believe that, you know, sharing a post, right? First off, it is not bullying to criticize you. Every one of those criticisms that I made in that fucking video that you're bitching about are real criticisms that you still have failed to criticize me for, which, by the way, instead of addressing this first, you know, back in August, right, when I originally posted that video, you instead called me crazy and said that I was delusional and that I was making things up, and you had your audience come to me for months harassing me to take my fucking pills, which I haven't taken in 2 years. Like, what pills am I gonna take? I'm not prescribed anything, alright? I used to be prescribed things, but I'm not now. So what pills? Huh? So, you know, you do that for, you know, fucking 6 months I have to deal with this fucking shit just because I'm not a coward and I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? Stop being a fucking asshole. Stop being a bully. Yes, it is actually bullying what you did to Gavin, right? Don't fucking sit on your high horse when you literally are going around and spreading misinformation about, like, let me explain something. You didn't even bother to fucking read the original text because you're that stupid and petty. You didn't even, like, if you actually read the original text, which is easy to find, it's called Everybody Wants to Be a Fascist by Félix Guattari, you would not be saying so many fucking stupid, misinformed things because, as you might know, people's ideas evolve over time, and Everybody Wants to Be a Fascist was, in fact, written after Anti-Oedipus. Things have developed and changed. In fact, ATP, right, 1,000 Plateaus, has many changes and transitions from Anti-Oedipus because of those developments, alright? And let's talk about the translation criticism that I gave as well. I do not think that for a fucking second either of you have any authority on what a perfect translation of Anti-Oedipus would look like. For first off, I have not seen any evidence that you have contributed towards the translation history at all of Deleuze, Guattari, or any related texts, right? You are criticizing people who have like half a century of translation experience with these works over you. And let me just say this, like I said, I have read Félix Guattari in French with my minimal French, and I am telling you right now, there is no way you could do a perfect, accurate translation of his work. It's because he fucks with the French language in a way that doesn't calculate in English. Like, the fact that you're fucking saying this demonstrates that you know nothing about translation, you know nothing about the translation community, you don't understand what is relevant and what people are actually needing right now. You know what's actually important? You know how you could actually contribute? If you actually have translation capabilities, translate fucking small essays. Chimeras, which is still available on archive.org, but I believe it's still down, right? Has dozens of essays from Félix Guattari, and I'm sure some from Gilles Deleuze as well, that need to be translated. Why are you sitting on your ass and lecturing your fucking audience about how great you are for these stupid, pretentious footnote fucking farming bullshit, right? Now, let's bring up your third point. The fact that I believe that you are your own independent astroturfing, plant, basically, right? So what I mean by this is that you didn't come in here because you want to actually discuss Deleuze and Guattari and have like a discourse and participate in this larger discourse. You came in here because you want to be important. You want to be the center of attention. Hell, that's the reason why I think you actually really want to translate Anti-Oedipus. It's not because of the super functional problems that you possibly cannot get around because of translation errors. You seem to act like this is like the fucking ego in its own, which is an actually bad translation, right? Like, Jesus fucking Christ, right? And, like, you act like people within the community don't work with French speakers to actually, like, deal with the problems that do actually exist. Like, no, fucking Taylor Atkins literally runs a podcast that your followers would benefit 1,000,000 times more by listening to because, I don't know, man, he actually translates Guattari, right? But yeah, you make this fucking AR bullshit about the Syrian war and try, like, right before COVID. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you lost your bet on that, I guess. COVID really knocked you out for that. But, like, that's fucked, dude. That's fucked up. You're making fucking literally, like, a simulation of war crimes to, like, politically manipulate people. This is the reason why I went fucking schizo when I first met you, because you were like, isn't it cool that I'm making this, like, fucking AR Syrian war? No, it's not. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think the kind of person who does that is not necessarily being very honest about their presence in this space. So, I think it's very interesting that, President Sunday goes and says to me, right, that somehow I fucking owe you guys something for bullying when I have 3 legitimate complaints that all you've been able to say for the last fucking 6 months about are, oh, he must be crazy, he must be psychotic, he must be crazy, he must be nuts. And now that you're finding yourselves in a corner where you actually have to answer to your fucking asshole behavior, you're now like, oh, well, we're the reason why you were able to get that money in the first place. Go fuck yourselves. You go and try to tell yourselves that you're this serious, grassroots, honest movement, and then you fucking say that. You fucking say that. I hope everyone in fucking Portland sees this video, you piece of shit, Brooks Brown. Going around and basically being like, oh, well, we shared your fucking... We did the bare fucking minimum. We shared your video. We shared your fundraiser. I don't even know if you guys donated money. The highest anonymous donation that I don't know the identity of is $500. I don't think $500 is worth shutting up about your fucking bullshit and asshole behavior. Get that fucking straight.
you.